Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Jacob, I'm ohheplays, and today we're doing something different. So I recently posted a poll on my channel here asking what you all wanted to see on the channel as far as content, and I got one response asking for a code tutorial. And while I don't think I'm the right person to be giving a tutorial, I did think it was a good idea to do some content surrounding code making, as I am a code designer. If you are looking for more of a tutorial and want to know how to make your own codes, I have a friend, Professor Hart, at Body Island on Instagram, who has a Discord all about learning how to make your own codes. And I am in that Discord and I help out with people's questions now and then. So if you're at all curious about that, please go check out her Instagram and look into the Discord for yourself. I highly recommend. It's a great resource. But for today, for now, I thought it might just be cool to show you a little bit into my process of making some codes. So the idea for this video was I am working on my new island, Haunt. Haunt is a Kidcore Halloween island. It's set on Halloween night in a suburban neighborhood, and everyone is trick-or-treating, all of the houses are decorated, etc., etc. And so I had this idea for one of the houses to have it have been TP'd. And so to do so, I needed to make toilet paper codes. So today I thought maybe it would be a good idea, since I have to do this build basically based around a set of codes, to do a two-part video where the first part I'm making the codes, and then the second part I'm using those codes and making the actual build. So we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna play some of the footage and I'm gonna talk over it. We'll be kind of talking about what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Might just end up yapping a little bit about whatever comes to mind, but we're just gonna figure this out as we go. So let's get into it. So before I even had the idea to make a video for these codes, I had already made kind of a little test code you're seeing here on the screen. I was just trying to figure out, would the idea work? What might the shape look like? And so I'd already kind of, I'm not starting from scratch here, but this is that original code. And you can see I'm just kind of changing some things around, trying to see how it looks, what I could maybe do to improve it, trying out, a little bit more, adding detail here. So since I'm not really starting from scratch, one thing to note is there are already some decisions that have been made in the process. I'd already figured out the colors I was going to use for the toilet paper. I did go with these kind of off-white shades. And then here you can see I'm going to another code that I've used on this island to figure out what color I want the shading of the shadow for the dirt to be. Usually on a single island, when I'm making like a set of codes, I stick to the same color for this shadow for any sort of dropped item. So I just went in and referenced one of the codes I've already made to make sure I'm using the same color here so that it'll all kind of go together and match. So here I'm just testing it out, seeing what it looks like, putting it on the ground. And then I also had an idea for this build that is going to require me to put the codes on the tabletop pop display item. So I'm just testing out what that looks like. I was curious what the dirt might look like in this version, since it'll be transparent and floating in the air. I wondered if that might look a little strange. So I wanted to see what that looked like. And I ended up deciding it actually kind of made it easier to see, and you can't really actually tell that it's really the dirt. So it doesn't actually bother me that much. I think it actually works this way. So I'm going to leave that in the design as it is. But the idea that requires me to use the tabletop pop display was that if I could put these codes on the tabletop pop display in front of, say, a bush or underneath a tree, it might look like, someone had actually thrown the toilet paper at the house and actually TP'd the house. So I wanted to be sure that that would work. And so now I'm working on a second code. This one, the idea would be that I could put it as if it were hanging under the tree, as if, the piece of toilet paper is like falling out of the tree, hanging out of the tree from being thrown. So now I had the thought that I maybe wanted to actually add some shading to the actual toilet paper and try to see if maybe it looked a little more realistic that way. So I'm adding an extra color to do some of that shading, and I'm playing around with it, but I ultimately actually decided that I kind of liked the more flat design with just the two colors, a more cartoony, like 2D look. And the wonky, wavy shapes of the toilet paper and that dirt shadow underneath is actually what's giving it more of the 3D feel. And so I actually decided to stick with that, like I said, more cartoony flat style for these codes. And so then I wanted it to look like at the top, like you'd rip the toilet paper. So I'm just messing around trying to figure out what shape looks best, trying a few things out. Then I had the thought that this could either be a standalone code or it could perhaps be a two-piece code where it continues into a longer strand of toilet paper down below. So I'm duplicating the design, making a second one and adding the ripped effect to the bottom on one of them and keeping it flat on the other so that you could continue the design on a second code if you wanted. So before I went any further, I wanted to see what it would actually look like when I put this code on the tabletop pop display and hung it underneath a tree to see if it's really even going to give the effect that I was hoping it would in my mind. So customizing that item, and I'm placing it here on a little stool and then pushing it in as far as it can and panning up the camera to get a little look at like what it'll look like, and actually was pretty happy with how that looked. So decided to continue on with the codes as is now that I feel good about the actual vision. So now that I feel good about the idea and I feel like it's gonna work, I'm starting to work on that bottom piece of the toilet paper. And so I just kind of sketch out a general shape of what I think I want it to look like. I actually made an actual physical sketch before I did this of what I thought the codes would look like and how I wanted them to look. So I'm basing the shape off of that sketch, and then here I am just iterating and playing around with it, seeing what looks good, and yeah, going from there. But this is an opportunity now to tell you maybe a little bit more about this island. So yeah, this island haunt, I have actually been planning kind of since June. This is a Halloween island, but basically every year when, like seasonal things come around, like Halloween or Christmas, etc., I kind of always have this thought of like, everyone starts posting, like seasonal content, and I'm always kind of like, oh, that looks fun, that looks like nice, it's topical, like I kind of want to be doing that, but I never actually have the time. Like I'm not working on something like that. I'm already working on a different island, and I'm not gonna just like switch gears. And for some reason, I just started thinking about a Halloween island in this summer, and I kept having all of these different ideas. And so I decided, since I was thinking about it and having all of these ideas so early, it would make sense for this to be my next island after Ladonia, so that I could have all the content ready in time for the spooky season, in time for Halloween, so that I could be posting that seasonal content along with everybody and not feeling left out. But I could be working on it while I'm having the ideas, while the creativity is flowing. And so, yeah, so I've been literally like leaving little notes to myself of different ideas, leaving little sketches around my desk whenever an idea would strike. But yeah, I'm really excited about this island. The idea is that, right, it's a Kidcore Halloween island. So the idea is that it's set on Halloween night, although it's not actually set in Halloween night. It's actually set in the summer, but I'm adding some fall codes and some fall items to kind of make it feel more like fall and Halloween-ish. But I just really liked the like dark greens at this time of year, so that's why I didn't set it on actual Halloween. But yeah, I've been really excited. I've been having a lot of fun working on this island. I had so many code ideas for this island. A lot of builds and stuff are just built around specific code ideas, like this TP situation we're working on here. But I've already released at this point, I'm not sure when this is coming out, I've maybe released more codes, but the first set of codes is a road code. It actually extends from the Pluto road codes. So you need the Pluto road codes to use as the base codes, and then all of these match that set and build off of it from there. So now I was trying out this idea of making that original first code look like it was a roll of toilet paper. I actually, spoiler alert, decided I don't like that and I preferred the originals. I end up using the roll of toilet paper idea on different codes, which I may have shown in the sketch already. If not, I'll put it on the screen. But I decided to do kind of a multi-piece, which I had this idea early on, but I wanted to start to work on it, of this multi-piece code where it starts as the toilet paper roll unrolling in the yard, but then it rolls over onto the sidewalk and into the street. So it would have to span, 2 to 3 codes and go from there. Okay, so I'm actually getting a little ahead of myself, and that's not what I started working on next. Before I move on to working on new codes, I wanted to test out, similar to how I did with the tree, I wanted to put that first code that I made of just the strand of toilet paper on a tabletop pop display and put it in front of a bush to kind of see what that was going to look like, because I wanted to see if it would look like you had thrown the toilet paper into the bushes, which was kind of the idea. And, since it worked with the tree, I was thinking it would probably work with the bush. And I've decided, here I tried to put it behind as well, but you can't see it, it's too short. So I'm gonna put it on a stool and see how that looks. And yeah, it works. It cuts it off a little bit, but maybe I can use a taller item in the future. But I think it works well enough, like with the context of everything else, you get the idea. It doesn't work quite as well as I was maybe hoping it would, but like I said, I think with the context of everything, you totally understand what's happening. So I decided that I'm good with it. Honestly, I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. I think I just decided to maybe the code needed to be bigger, but spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure whatever this is not in the final code. So whatever this is, I decide I don't like it and I get rid of it. So I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I'm really excited to be doing a Halloween island. I love Halloween. I love scary movies. I love Halloween movies, and I'm just really excited to be doing something in that theme. I've never done this before, so it was something new for me and just something I really like. And yeah, I really wanted to, after working on Pluto, especially that first half of the island that was like Kidcore, simple neighborhood vibes, it kind of made me want to do an entire island that was that kind of vibe. And so this wasn't what I had in mind when I thought that. Like, I thought I would truly just do like suburban, normal, like not seasonal, not themed, but this kind of is filling that desire that I had to do that type of island, because it is like the whole island is a neighborhood and it's suburban, and like it's scratching that itch that I had, or that type of island. And so it's like kind of like 2 birds, 1 stone thing here. So then this code, actually, now I'm working on, I had the idea that just one code, that first code, just having one code that was like a standalone piece of toilet paper wasn't enough. I needed variety. So I wanted to create a second one that maybe is a slightly different shape, going a different direction. And so that's what I'm working on here, is trying to have a different single tile code to use as well. So the full set ends up being 2 single tiles, the 2-piece code, and a 2 to 3-piece code, depending on how you look at it, that utilizes the sidewalk and the road. But we'll get to that in a little bit. I'm gonna start working on that shortly here. I'm really hoping that this build turns out well, because I've spent so much time already on this video that if this doesn't actually work out, then I don't know what I'm gonna do. But if you're watching this, that means it does work out. So you're gonna be able to see, see that part 2 and see that build soon too as well. So stay tuned. What's also crazy is, this is gonna date this video, but what's crazy is that the timing of my announcement for this island is perfect. It ended up being the day before I was gonna announce. The day before, Lady Gaga put out her new single, Dead Dance. So that is perfect. I'm already planning tomorrow, when I announce the island to everyone on TikTok, the way I'm gonna announce it is I'm gonna use that song. So I'm really excited. Also, go stream Dead Dance. More importantly, go stream Mayhem, the album, because when she put out Dead Dance, she actually put out the bonus tracks that were previously only on vinyls before. They're now on streaming as well, and there's a new order to the album, and it's just so good. The best song that came out today is Can't Stop the High. I love that one. So go stream, go watch the music video for Dead Dance. And yeah, I love Gaga. I'm actually going to see her this weekend at Madison Square Garden. I'm super excited. This will be my 4th time seeing her live, so really excited about it. This show looks so incredible. If you haven't seen any of the videos, look it up. It's so cool what she's been doing with this tour, so I'm so excited to like actually experience it in person. Yeah, so here now, pivoting from Gaga to toilet paper. So now what I'm working on is that multi-piece code that I was talking about before. So the idea initially, right, was to have it go from a toilet roll on a transparent sitting in the yard that then would connect to a piece of a sidewalk going down the sidewalk, and then it would connect to a road code as if it's, you know, rolling out into the street. And spoiler alert, you're gonna see that I don't actually love how that turns out, but this is me working on that version of it now, and then we'll see where I end up at the end. But I did a sketch first, another physical sketch of what I thought this would look like, so I'm gonna share that here, and you can kind of see this was the initial sketch, so I wanted to have it go all the way down. And it was kind of a long piece. Again, spoiler alert, I'm gonna actually just go ahead and cut ahead. Okay, cutting ahead, like I said, here we are. You can see how it looks. And it didn't feel as like wavy and natural as the rest of them. It just felt long and straight. And so I decided to kind of revisit my sketch. And so I had 2 ideas. One was that, okay, maybe I can just move everything over a bit to the left, and then it might be able to have more organic shape to it and not feel as just like long, and it can kind of flow through the middle of the sidewalk and into the street. But as you'll see, as I start to play around with it and test out the codes in the space, that actually didn't really work either. And so my backup plan was to change it and still do a transparent code, a sidewalk code, and a road code, but only have the transparent lawn code and the sidewalk code connect. And then the road code will just be like a stray piece of toilet paper that's in the road, maybe was dropped behind or, you know, rolled away and whatever broke off. And that way it can also be used a little more fluidly. It doesn't have to be so rigid and stuck to the other parts of the code, the other pieces of the set. Here I am working on that, you know, new version of this sidewalk code, and shorter piece, won't connect to the road code, and I end up liking how this one looks a lot more. So this is what I ended up going with in the final version. So here, yep, now I'm testing it out. You'll see kind of what I was talking about here. I've got, I think I accidentally deleted no, this was the original piece, okay. So now you'll see I'm testing it out. Now I'm working on that road code. I cut out the previous version of me making the sidewalk and the road code. It was just a little long, and since I didn't end up using it, I didn't feel like it was super like helpful to see necessarily. But so here I am editing that original code and trying out the new idea of just a piece or 2 in the street. You can see here I'm starting out with 2 pieces. The final version ends up being just 1 piece. I wanted to try this single ply look, but as you can see, I tested it out and I was like, immediately no. And then I go and try to make it a bigger piece of toilet paper with a little bit more movement, like that wavy shape that we kind of had in the previous codes, the transparent codes that I was working on in the beginning. Yeah, but we're getting closer to the end of the video. Before we get to the end, I am gonna like show the final codes and like wrap it up, but this was new for me, doing this type of video. Again, I feel like I say it all the time, but I felt so awkward, but this was something new, so I'm like getting used to it. I'm getting used to yapping for this long of a voiceover, so bear with me, but let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you like this type of video, if you'd like to see more of this, perhaps if you'd like to see specific types of codes other than toilet paper. I know it's kind of funny that I'm starting the first code making video I'm doing with this like video of making toilet paper codes. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you maybe think could improve on another one, what you'd like to see. Again, I'm not gonna be ever doing, I think, like straight up like tutorial type videos for this, but like I said, I'm happy to share my process here and there. most of the time when I'm working on codes, it's just whenever I'm in the flow and whenever the creative juices are flowing. So it's hard to sometimes time that in a way where it can really just be sitting at my desk filming a video like this. So I have to plan ahead, but let me know what you thought. And yeah, I wrapped it up here. These are all of the codes we made today. I'll put the graphic on the screen with all of them so you can see. And then yeah, catch me soon for the part 2 of this video where I'm doing the actual build. And yeah, thank you all for hanging along with me and watching. So give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already, and if you're feeling like it, give this video some hype as well. But I'll see you in the next one for part 2.